is a special night for us here on Pickin and Grinnin. We did have a special guest, Mike, Death Pile Picker, but he's had a family emergency and he will not be on tonight. But we do ask that everyone please say a prayer for Mike and his family. They really need it at this time. So I wanted to get that out of the way. If you're here to see Mike, he's not going to be here. I apologize, but he just had a family emergency and he couldn't be here tonight. So other than that, we're going to carry on without Mike, and we might have another special guest pop in. We do not know 100%, but if they're able to make it, they will. So I not want to tell you who it is. It'd just be a big surprise because it's actually a surprise to me and Brad. And we will be very thankful for this gentleman also. Brad, how's your week going?
Going good. Just living the dream, working the business, as they say. How about yourself?
You take any special trips this week, sourcing?
Actually, yeah. We drove up to Gallatin, Tennessee to pick up a pretty decent sized lot of Playmobil. And then while I was there, they had some other stuff. He asked if I was interested in anything else, and got a little bit of G.I. Joe stuff and some Star Trek stuff, and we can talk about that later if you want to. But so I was able to load the car up as much as possible and head home with it. Made out like a bandit.
So you're a Trekkie now.
Yeah, Star Trek's one of those things that every time I've looked up Star Trek, there's not really, I don't know, it never really seems that great. Yeah, I went ahead and picked it up. I saw Graham's comment over there. Well, I'm out. I was here for the train wreck.
Hey, Corey, we may have a train wreck here in a minute anyway. You might want to stick around.
I know Mike couldn't come on, but Corey, did you see his Instagram post this morning about when he was still planning on being on? If you didn't, you'll have to go check it out. It was pretty awesome.
That was great. Yeah, you guys see his Instagram post he posted this morning. It was great. But yeah, it was gonna be a fun show with him. I was really looking forward to that. It was awesome.
Anytime you plug AC/DC into something, I'm on board. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, no, I was really looking forward to Mike. I'm the one I messaged him see if he'd come on, and he said yeah, and I was looking forward to it because he's kind of like he's just like this low key assassin when he goes out to yard sales and stuff. Dude, he just says the perfect things, and he's personable in all shucks kind of way. Yeah, I love that dude. He's pretty awesome.
He don't put out a whole lot of videos, but I've watched the ones he's put out, and he's just like you said, he's like a low key, and you never know. In his earlier videos, you never knew what he was going to say, and that's just what made it so fun to watch, because you were just like, oh, what's he going to say next, But that was good. All right, so we're going to go ahead and introduce our special guest. It's not Mike, but this gentleman agreed to be on with us in his place, and so here he is.
Hello,
Kevin. How are you today?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Doing great. I want to tell you something. You are an amazing person because you did not have to do this, and we greatly appreciate that.
I tell my wife that. Hold on a minute. Let me get my good audio here, if there is such a thing. Whoop. There we go. That's why I don't do live. See, I take care of all this stuff before. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it any better?
Yeah, we got the sexy
view of Kevin.
Fine. Will you do what Dave does and tell me if my mic is scratching?
Yeah.
Sure
do you want us to also interrupt? You want us to also interrupt you every few seconds?
No. Okay. I want you to let me talk the whole time. It'd be refreshing.
We'll do it.
So I'm at my boys. I'm sorry I'm late. Thank you for the great introduction. Hey, Mr. Sadie, there's an OG right there. You've been around a long time. So anytime Mike calls up and asks for a favor, I have to say yes. So just a little PSA. Just if you see me on this show and you got a live show, I'm not doing a live show. I'll tell you the only reason I'm doing a live show is because Mike told y'all that he would be here and he didn't want to back out on his promises, and he had a little emergency come up. He's like, "Would you do this?" And I'm like, "Can't you call somebody?" No, I'm kidding. I told him I'd be happy to jump on, but I had a couple things to do. I'm at my boys' all-star practice here. So I'm hoping I can stay on for quite a while, but I'm just keeping an eye on the practice over there and seeing what's going on. So how are y'all doing?
So you
doing great.
Doing good. So you got good internet up there in Virginia, right?
Well, no, I'll tell you what though, I was worried because I sent you a message a few minutes ago. I'm like, I'm gonna be late, and I got here and I'm like, man, what if there's no internet here? I'm gonna have to like drive all over the place and find something if there's no good signal. But we're good. This is better than my house, so it should do okay.
I was gonna say you need to go park there and do all your shows.
Can I get on here? I can't see any comments or anything. I don't even know if I'll be able to do it here. I'm wondering if I can get my other phone.
On your phone, I don't believe you can. I don't know unless you
hold on. Let me check out the live here. Yeah, I got a hotspot. That's all we run off of.
I want to give Mike a shout out too because he didn't have to try to fill his spot, and that just says a whole lot. Says
you
a whole
don't know
lot
Mike very well.
That speaks to volumes about the kind of guy he is.
Yeah, you don't know Mike very well. Oh, there's Graham. I hope that's Pops in there, not Grams. I got a feud with Grams going on right now.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can take it. Oh, Archie. There you go. Archie's here. Don't tell anybody I'm on live, Archie. Please don't tell anybody I'm on live.
Yeah, he messaged me and told me that that he had called you and talked to you. And I was like, oh no, Kevin, so I was like really excited about that. But we did at the beginning of the show, we just said Mike couldn't be on because of personal family arrangements and keep him in his prayers because we didn't want to put his business out there. But
sure,
he's
a good dude, man. Let me tell you. I know a lot, he's got a lot of rough edges, Mike. I'm sure you're listening to this replay or maybe live, but I doubt it. And, so I've had people that say, why are you friends with that guy? He cusses, he smokes, he doesn't. I was like, dude, because he's kind. He's a nice dude. That's all there is to it.
He is.
And he is super nice guy. So that's why I'm on here. So unlike Archie, I'm kidding. Archie's super nice too. He gives off. Archie, you better not share this with it. Archie will be sharing it with everybody. Everybody yelling at me.
Yeah. No, it comes through in Mike's videos. I enjoy watching his videos. He's just smooth like butter when it comes to just talking to people. It's like he doesn't meet strangers. And he's
let's not go too far now. Come on. I mean, he's a nice guy, but
hey, the guy's going through a little something today. We can throw him some more.
I'm just teasing. So you sent me a topic or something, but we don't do topic. I don't do topics on the Trash to Cash podcast. It's interesting, but I'm curious to know what the topic is before we get going.
Y'all are like a train wreck over there. I mean, Dave and Carrie. I mean, it's just like listen to them guys, man. I mean, I laugh majority of that show because they're just like a train wreck, But yeah, I mean, the topic was: are you a reseller or a treasure hunter, and what's the difference? That's what the topic was today. So I'll go ahead and ask you, Kevin, are you a treasure hunter or are you a reseller?
Both. That's not a cop-out either. I think good resellers are treasure hunters. They're just not necessarily treasure hunting for themselves. You're a personal shopper is what you are. And you learn over time what people want. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you get to learn specific people and what they want. And you can start buying for those people as well, especially if you're doing live shows. I do that often. I've learned... I know this isn't about Whatnot and Dibdit and all that stuff and District and all that, but I have learned just over the last 6 months that especially on live selling, you find buyers who are looking for specific things. I give Dave credit for telling me this, but I really don't listen to him, but I'm sure he said it before. You find they're good buyers, but you find people who are interested in certain things. He mentioned it the other day on the podcast, talk about dragons. He buys dragons all the time now. So I've got a few of those now. It's like, okay, this isn't something I typically buy, but now I'm going to buy it. And that goes for eBay too, or whatever selling platform you're on. But you're a treasure hunter for other people and sometimes for yourself. So I assume your question really is more about, do you collect kind of thing? For yourself too. I don't know, but I'm for the most part a reseller first, but I don't think there's any good reseller that's not a treasure hunter.
Yeah. Yeah, that was going to be my answer. Is kind of is that it's kind of both, and then also depending on what you're trying to accomplish with your selling, dictates what you do and how you look at it. For example, I think if you're just somebody who's a hobbyist, if you're into a thing and you're a collector, that's one thing. If you're looking at it just as like a part-time kind of thing you're going to do, or a supplemental thing, or you're going to supplement your income, or you're looking at it like you want to go full time, or if you're looking at it like you want to go big time, I think it kind of dictates how you do.
I think a lot of folks get into reselling because they were collectors and started to exit that collecting, whatever it was. Maybe they moved on to something else and now they needed that money out of what they were collecting in order to get money to collect something else. And a lot of times they'll start to sell it off or sell pieces. They'll buy in lots and stuff. And I think 540 Flips said he did that. There was one other person I was watching. I don't know if it was on, I don't know which podcast it was on. I watch them all, so it gets confusing sometimes. But a lot of folks will be collectors first and then turn to resellers. And that was not me. I was never a collector. I'm more of a collector now than I've ever been in my entire life. Yeah. And, I've heard Carrie say you get junk drunk sometimes. You just get sick of the junk. And sometimes nothing gets you excited anymore. There's a bad joke in there. I'm used to the other podcast, but I'll leave it alone. I think that's true too of resellers. Is there anything that it's like, oh, another one of these, or oh, I gotta ship this thing or whatever. Sometimes you don't get excited about the things you used to get excited about. But for me, I still love to collect a little bit. What do you guys do? Do you guys collect anything in particular?
I'm like you. I never really collected a lot except for guitars and stuff. I play music a little, and but the more that I've gotten into reselling, I do have a little wall started of some Star Wars stuff and some things like that. But yeah, I think collecting's like a gateway drug. Collecting's the gateway drug into online sales.
I think I collect what I buy to sell, to be honest with you, because it sits around here for.
Well, hey, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story. Yeah. Hopefully, it doesn't sit too long.
I'm going to tell you, Kevin, when I first started, I started back in 2018, and I watched Josh, Harry Tornado. I watched Tim Osborne to Thrift.
Okay, it's a little better.
Watched Tim Osborne to Thrift, and there was one other person I can't remember. Another guy down in Florida. I can't remember who it was, and I think Dave. He was when he was NC Pickard at that time.
You mean to tell me you watched these clowns without watching Commonwealth Flipper?
I got a story. I didn't find you till later on in life.
Oh my god!
But so I was just picking up when I started. I saw what they was selling, and I thought, I could do the same thing. So I just started picking everything up they were selling, and it doesn't work that way.
What?
It took me a while to figure that out. But
that's a great point, actually. Since Archie's in here, Archie, there's blasphemy. Archie told me secretively one time. I'm just going to expose you, Archie. He said, "I hated you, dude. I hated your show. You're so corny and stupid, and I hated you." I was like, "Thanks, Archie. You said that too, brother." At any rate, it wasn't quite that harsh, but it's a good point because I feel bad, and I didn't learn this until I was putting out content, and people would later ridicule me on something else, like this idiot. I bought all this Tupperware or whatever. So now I bought a bunch of Squishmallows the other day, right? I pulled a Dave. And so now when I sell these things, because I just sold one today for 20 plus shipping. I got 30 plus shipping out of one the other day. I've got a couple more on the docket. I got to ship out tomorrow. And I bought 120 some of them for $1 a piece, and they had tags and whatever. And I do this with Vera Bradley too. I'll tell people because people listen. They're like, Dave, you hear something, but you didn't really hear the whole thing. So you pick up half of what they say. And so I make a specific point. Oh my gosh, there you go. Thank you. So I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm getting I know what it is. So I make a specific point to say, listen, I don't pick up all of Vera Bradley because people go, it's Vera Bradley. I get it. I'm like, listen. So now when I'm on the video, whether it's picker or flipper, I'll say specifics. I'll be like, hey, Vera Bradley, the bigger the better. It better not be faded at all. Better not have any condition issues at all, and you better buy it for $1, right? Because I literally sold a giant Vera Bradley bag today for $39.99 plus shipping. I think I might have paid $2 for that one, to be honest with you. But but people will get the impression by just watching people. It's like ashtrays. Like, oh, I pick up ashtrays. I'm like, dude, first of all, I pick up way too many stupid ashtrays. Okay, and I tell people it's a disease, it's a sickness, or whatever. But that doesn't mean that there's ashtrays not worth money. I'll pick up an ashtray if I can sell for $10, whatever. But they think, okay, ashtray, and they see an ashtray and they get all excited or something, or Tupperware. But there's really only like 8-10 different things of Tupperware I really pick up. I won't pick up the rest. But they don't think that.
See, you sell a lot of Tupperware. I can't sell Tupperware, but you know what I can sell? And I just found this out recently. The old vintage, well, they still make them, but the old pipes you get at estate sales, they smoker pipes.
Yeah.
Like the Sherlock Holmes. Man, I can't keep them. Man, them things just they fly out the door.
That's because he sells them as tested and working.
No. But
there's a lot of categories.
I learned the hard way. I'm not gonna lie. I learned the hard way that you cannot, just because you may sell something doesn't mean I'm going to be able to sell it. And it reverses the same way, and that's what I was saying, getting back to, I have a lot of long tail items in my store, and over the years I've gradually been able to get rid of them and work towards, because I didn't know anything about sell-through rate at that time. And I'm going to be honest with you, I started watching you about 3 years ago, I believe it was.
Yeah.
So it took me about 2 years before I found you, and I started learning a whole lot. And that's why I like your channel so much, because as far as a teacher goes, you're it.
So what I'm hearing is you watched Harry Tornado and didn't learn anything. You watched Dave and didn't learn anything. You go back and film that, Kevin.
Listen, I'll say this, and I'll just hope Dave doesn't listen to it. I'll say this about Dave. Dave is a good reseller. He doesn't want people to know. Yeah. Like we joked about ridiculous, and then we're comparing, 90-day totals and stuff. He's jumping at my heels, man. He is just killing it. And people want to laugh at him. And I'm not saying it's a persona. He screws up a lot. That's the truth. He shares it all, right? And I think that's a good trait. But Dave is Carrie, on the other hand. Dawn is an amazing reseller. That's what I have to say about Carrie. So, I'm kidding. And Carrie's really good, too. He knows quite a bit. He just doesn't always employ it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually...
cards, right?
He's good with more than cards. I'll go out and pick with Carrie. He's good with more. It's just a matter of, he's really the type of reseller. He wants to sell what he wants to sell, right? He doesn't, he's not going to go pick up a car part that he knows he can make $40 on. He's not going to do it. And you know what? Good for him, because what happens with that stuff is it ends up in that pile. It ends up in the, and expertise is a big thing. There's an art. I've heard Tim over the years say this, and he's so right. There's an art to reselling on all aspects of it, the picking side, but the listing side too. And that's where I really kind of latched onto those guys over there at Reseller Information Network, just the little tiny twists in titling and the way that listings are done and the pictures. And I don't always employ all those things, but there are certain little tricks to getting something sold that has a low sell-through rate. So like Chris, what you're talking about as far as your things maybe you picked up in the past that you saw somebody pick up and they're not good, you could still sell them. You just have to tweak it. There's some items you got to go under the market. You just have to. And there's some items where if you go too far under the market, it's not going to sell either. There's little tiny twists to all kinds of categories, the ordering of the titles, all kinds of stuff that people just don't get. I don't do videos about those all the time because I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I love teaching, but I love teaching in a very different method, different manner, where you learn over time and you don't know that you're learning. But I hate sitting down and giving those tutorials on stuff. Part of it is because I'm not confident enough to say it works, even though I know it works because I've been doing it for so long.
No, I think you got the track record and the credibility to say about anything you want to at this point. So,
I don't know about that. Trust me, I'll get raked over the coals.
Do not listen to those haters, dude. They don't know what they're talking about. But
I'm getting better as I age. I've said this before. My dad just he doesn't care. I was like, how do I get to that point where I just don't care? I like you walk outside without your shirt on and take the trash out, right? He don't care. He walk out in his underwear. He don't care. I wish I was there. I'm not there yet. I wish Dave's there. Well, Dave's sort of there.
Yeah, I've pastored a church and been in ministry most of my life. I've been pastored church for the last 20 years, so I'm kind of over what people think.
Yeah, well, that'll do it to you in teaching. That'll do it to you too. It's like, well, what are you gonna do? You can't pander to everybody.
Yeah,
that's true. Is it, Brad? You say you got to remember they're not thinking about you.
Yeah. Chris was worried about something going on. I told him, said, Chris, I said, I'm going to tell you something I've learned from 20 plus years of like being in the public and working with people and stuff. Like 2 minutes after they left that conversation with you, they're not thinking about you. Everybody's too self-centered. The only thing they're really thinking about
is right. That's 100% right.
Yeah. It's their movie and you're just passing through it.
I don't talk about this often, but since it kind of came up, that is a lesson that I did. I learned that through coaching. I poured my heart and my soul into my high school coaching job, and I built a program where there wasn't one. It sounds a little arrogant, but I'll just say it because it makes the point you're trying to make. I worked my butt off I was a head coach, varsity head coach for 15 years there. I was a JV coach for a year. And I literally poured my life into that thing to give it life, to make it a winner, to do all that. And the day I left that program, nobody cared. Yeah. Nobody cared. And I thought, man, and I knew this intuitively, this stuff. But I never went back to that field. And it was like, wow, you pour something into something for so long. And really, nobody cared about it. They all cared about, and I'm the same way. I'm not being critical of these people. We're all the same way. You care about your kids. You care about your family. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take all that energy and I'm going to pour it into something that I'm going to enjoy the rest of my life and that my kids are going to get something out of. And that was a lesson that was hard learned. My wife tried to get me away from it for 2 or 3 years. And I just resisted because it was my identity. Right. I was the great high school baseball coach and I was, everybody loved it while you're there. And when you're gone, nobody cares. And so I'm like, I'm not doing that for other people. I'm going to do it for my family. I'm going to do it for me. And I'm going to build something that lasts, if you will. Yeah. And I'm not talking about reselling in particular. I'm just talking about that when I'm 60 or 80, my kids will like me. My kids will appreciate me. They'll respect me. They'll want to take care of me if need be. And I'm going to get to, enjoy them growing up and get a connection with their kids if they have them someday. And I'm like, that's the ticket, because in reality, even that doesn't last. I mean, we're all here for a short time. So anyway, I'm getting philosophical. Thanks. Carrie and Dave never let me they laugh at me already.
No, I appreciate it. Cause honestly, as you talk, that's a whole lot of the reason that I've leaned into reselling in the last several years. I've done it for a long time, but the reason I kind of leaned into it is I've been a pastor at the church I'm at for 20 years now. I realize when I walk away, it's like they're just going to move right to the next guy and I'm going to be an afterthought. And it's all about, I started thinking about, I got to build something that's for me and my family, because I put everybody else's family first for so long.
Well, I will say this as far as preaching, and I'll say this as far as teaching too, and coaching for that matter. There are some things that last, but they last with the individual, right? They don't last with a program, an institution. They last with the individuals that you affect. And if you're a preacher for that long, I'm sure you have those stories too, and you may not even know them. I've been fortunate enough to have kids even after I quit call me back to they've got a ceremony and they get to invite a teacher or something and they invite me, and I had no idea that I had an effect on them. Or a kid, I've seen this the other day. There's a kid I was coaching against, incredible ball player. I think they won state championship that year. They lost one game and it was to us 1-0. And I'm sitting there on the field watching my boy play, and I see this guy standing over there. And I'm like, this guy. I was like, I know this guy. And he came over and talked to me. He's like, you remember me? I'm like, no, I got no idea. And he named the game and the whatever. And then, and he is coaching my kid now. And it's like, so you do have those individual interactions with people that affect people. It's the same way on YouTube. You know, there are people that think I'm their best bud, you know, they because they watch me every day, and I don't know who the heck they are. But I've also had the opportunity to meet a lot of people, which is amazing. I love people, which is an incredible blessing when you're doing content like this to actually most people, you know, Rod and you know.
I got a quick question for you, Kevin.
Yeah, I'll shut up for a minute.
I hear you. Oh no, it's okay. You talk all you want. I just got one question. You know, in your videos, you talk a lot about how your family has gotten involved with your reselling business stuff, especially with the lives and stuff over on Whatnot and Didbit and stuff. So, are you just strictly doing social media content now, and they're doing the other side of it, or are you doing both?
No, I do, and actually, there's a video coming out on this. Not to plug my channel, but while I'm gone, I'm gonna be gone for a couple of days. But I never really completely describe it. So hey, what the heck? We'll do it right here. So, in all honesty, I put in probably 35 to 40 hours a week on social media. I got a hairy tornado back here playing frisbee golf. There you go. All right.
Yeah, we see him walk behind the car.
Got two pups. Anyway,
there he is.
Sorry, Josh. We love you, man. There's a side story there, but I put in about 35 to 40 hours a week on nothing but social media. So that's 5 full-length videos a week on Picker and Flipper. It's doing, you know, editing. It's putting out tons of content on Facebook. I don't think people realize I put out 3 videos a day over there. Some of them are recycled, some of them are remixed, some of them are brand new. TikTok, Instagram, Garage Sale Nation as well. So 35 to 40 hours a week. I spend 15 to 20 hours a week reselling. That does not include sourcing. So I don't count sourcing for anything because it's my therapy. It's to me, it doesn't count because that's why I don't have to go to a psychiatrist, right? Because I source and I love it. So I spend 15 to 20 hours a week reselling, and that's on eBay. A little bit of Dibdit. I'll put some items up on Dibdit, but I spend all of my time on eBay. I am the eBay person in my house. So my wife helps with cross-listing from time to time, and she helps me ship. Like right now, she's at home shipping the easy stuff. I'll get home after Turner gets done here, and I'll have 5 or 6 big items that'll take me a long time to ship, or she'll ship 20. I think we had 24 things going out today. So she'll probably ship 18 of them, and it'll take her half an hour because they're the easy ones. And I'm not being critical of her. I'm just trying to give you a big picture of what's going on. So I'm listing the vast majority of eBay, and I am shipping the vast majority of eBay. I'm tweaking the titles. I'm delisting, relisting. So the girls that help, Jess is in there. It depends on the week. Could be 15 hours a week. Could be 20. She is doing 2 things for us. She is sorting, helping me sort. So when the load comes in, I'll go in there with her, and a lot of it I know really, really quickly. Like, okay, I mean, I already know this is a $10 item. It's not going to go on eBay, you know. But then, so I'll make 3 piles. I'll be like, okay, definite eBay, definite live selling on Whatnot or Dibdit. In this case, it's going to be more and more live selling on Dibdit for multiple reasons we can talk about later. Then I'll make a 3rd pile, and the 3rd pile will be like, I'm not quite sure yet. Why don't you figure these out? So she'll figure those out. She'll separate them, and then she takes over all the live selling. So she's in charge of all the live selling and shipping all the lives. So basically, I figured if I could do lives and turn a 20% margin profit on lives after paying them to do everything, I'm okay with that, because now I have all of my time to dedicate to eBay. As soon as I made that shift, my eBay numbers have gone up. I mean, we're 9 of the last 12 days are over 500. A couple of them are $700, $800, $900 days. It's because all of my 15 hours are dedicated a week or dedicated to eBay. So I tell people, you can't do all that in 15 to 20 hours. Well, yes, you can. You get better at it, you can. You can do it. Now, it helps. I obviously have an audience, and you know, 20% of my sales or so are to that. 15. I only had 1 viewer sale today, and I had 23 sales. There's probably a couple more mixed in there, but So that's basically the setup. So no, I'm not Harry Tornado. I love to resell. I actually don't think of that as work. The social media can be a little bit of work, but I try to make it not work because I do most of my social media outside. I do, besides the filming of it, I do it outside in that chair underneath my tree. I know it's corny and whatever. Dave and Carrie tease me, but it's the truth. I sit out there for 4 or 5 hours sometimes, and I do all my social media for all platforms on my phone. I don't know how to edit videos. I do not know how to edit video. I literally do it on my phone. I could not. If you told me to edit a video on a computer, I'd be like, I gotta quit. I gotta quit YouTube.
Are you serious?
Don't know how to do it. Not one of my videos was edited on. Well, half of one of my videos was edited on a computer many years ago because I had to do some kind of professional development for school, and part of it was doing something. I was like, all right, whatever. And so I figured it out enough to get that, and I was like, I'll just throw this over there on my YouTube channel. But that's it, half of one video.
If I could figure out how to make a video without having to edit it,
I edit it, but I edit it on my phone.
No, I can't even figure out how to edit on the phone, so I do it on the computer. So I haven't tried. Trust me.
I'm yet to put out my first YouTube video, so I haven't edited anything yet. But I edit stuff for the church all the time, so I'm gold when it comes time. Yeah, I wanted to go back to the philosophical thing just for a second that we were on right before this, talking about making an impact and what you were saying. I had a friend of mine that was a youth pastor, and he went and interviewed for a job up at this big church up in Indiana. And the pastor, he's interviewing. He asked him a question, like, what are you going to do? He's asking him specifics. What are you going to do with the kids? And he said he thought for just a second.
All right, you got to start over. I got a little ADHD moment right there. I was going to say hi to Silverhair Stacker in here, another OGer, but all I've got here is somebody interviewing stuff. What are you going to do with the kids? It doesn't sound like it's right. You got to have to go over it one more time.
Sure. Hey, pay attention, Kevin. I'm gonna have to do you like Tekken did Dave and Carrie. No, so I have a friend. He was a youth pastor at this time. This has been some years back, and he went and interviewed at this big church.
I got you.
He went and interviewed at this big church in Indiana. And so in his interview process, the pastor asked him, was like, so what are you going to be doing with the kids? He's wanting to know, like, you going to be taking them to Six Flags and, what are you going to do in the youth room and blah, blah, blah. And the answer he gave, I thought was just amazing. He said, here's what I'm going to do. He said, when I look back, he said, I don't remember anything that was taught. I don't remember pretty much anything that was said. I don't remember even all the places we went and the things we did. But I can name the people who invested in me and cared about me. And he said, and that's going to be what I'm going to do, regardless of what I speak about or teach about or where we go or any of the activities. I'm going to make it a point to have a relationship with those kids.
Let me tell you, it's getting off of reselling a little bit, but it's the same philosophy I used in the classroom. And I said this at the List Perfectly event. I said, and this is what they'd send me all the. It was a strange job because the administration hated me for 6 reasons. But whenever there was a teacher that needed help, I'm the one who got them. Like, this guy's having success. They never tell me I was having success, but they'd tell these other teachers and send them to me. I was like, oh, this is crappy. But they'd send them to me, and all their question would be about curriculum or how do you read. I said, listen, it's got nothing. I said, you're going to be teaching the same daggone subject for the next 20 years. Don't worry about learning the subject. You're going to learn the subject. You got no choice. I said, what you need to do is find 2 kids in the room. Just find 2. Find the kid in the back of the room that nobody likes, that's got acne, that's a weird kid, that's reading a book 24/7, whatever it is. Find the kid that does not want to anybody to even know they're there. Find that kid and teach him. And then find the most popular, the richest kid, whatever. Find that kid in the front of the room or wherever they're at and teach that kid and make that classroom about both of those kids for the first week. And you've won, because half the kids in that room want to be like that kid in the front, and half the kids in the room identify with that kid in the back in some way. And you've won everybody. And once you've done that, then you can start to teach every kid, and everybody's on board. You just take both of those and you build those relationships. And once you learn how to do that with those total opposite kids, you've got it for everybody. You've got it for every single kid. Now, there's going to be people that grind your gears and that drive you nuts, but that's the same idea. And you don't teach a subject, you teach those kids, and everything else will come through after that. So, anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, rather being nice today, huh?
You got a lot of comments in here about people who love to hear you talk more about what you're talking about. And even
don't listen to the podcast then. Trash Cat, they can't get it out over there.
Yeah, it's like the juvenile version of that over there.
Well, life is like high school. It's like middle school. It is. It's like it for everybody. Your whole life. It's the same. It's different when you age. You put a little age on you, and you get a little different perspective. But it is very similar. I mean, I've seen older people in my family. They have the same jealousy issues they had when they were 14. I mean, it's like, golly, man, what the heck? But I guess that was part of the reason I guess we had success over on YouTube is I just treated it like I was talking to my captive audience. And of course they're not captive, they get a choice over here on YouTube. And it's just like, can you relate to the person? That is far more important than what you're saying. There's a lot of channels out there that give advice, that teach you how to resell and whatever. But once you got it, you're gone. You're gone. Right? What do you need somebody to tell you how to list something, 58 times over again, right? So my whole idea from the get-go is, how do you build a relationship with your audience that you don't know? And it's not an easy thing to do, but I stole this from Craigslist, Hunter, to be honest with you. If you want to get it, this is getting into YouTube conversation, I guess, but hey, whatever.
Go with it.
He had characters in his show. And I don't mean just people, because he had people in his show that you knew, partners and employees and whatever. But he also had he had the bird, and he had these characters in there that you would endear yourself to. And I thought, man, we got to do this. And I just said, well, this is going to be a family gig from the get-go. And I took a lot of heat. There's a couple people in the chat right now probably remember back in those days. How could you put your family and do this and do that and whatever? I'm like, dude, I ain't doing it without my family. That's the whole point.
It's the best part of your show, bro.
Well, thank you. I think.
Yeah, no, seriously. My wife and I have agreed for a very long time that Reagan's going to run the world one day.
Unfortunately, I think that's true. She's a handful, boy. She's a sweet girl, but she's very opinionated, and she'll argue it. And in the end, she'll do it. Turner's just the sweetest little thing you ever saw in your life, though.
I tell people all the time, when it comes to like leadership and stuff, it's a whole lot easier to pull a rope than it is to push one. So I'd a whole lot rather have somebody I have to rein back a little bit than somebody I have to try to push.
And a lot of people, including Death Pile and these guys, that they'll tease me about, running a tight ship and whatever. It could not be any farther from the truth. I don't make my kids do a darn thing. Like I'm like, hey, can we go film a video? If they even give me a hint of, what? I was like, don't worry about it. Let's not do it today. And that's happened like 10 times in 5 years. It just doesn't happen. They enjoy it. They like it. People think my family runs it. Turner don't do a darn thing for reselling. He don't do nothing. He don't want to do nothing. He's not going to want to do anything till he's broke. When he's broke, he'll want to come do something for money, right? Reagan, I pay her. I pay those kids to do it. I don't pay them a lot. I pay every time they get on a video, I give them $1. That's not, my daughter's 13. That don't mean nothing to her. Whatever. But I let her find the things that she loves and that she does and kind of go from there. I hope one of them, I'm old. I hope one of them wants to do this and take over, but if they don't, so be it. I don't care. But it's when you start to care and when you want somebody to do something. That's kind of the tack I took with my class too. Like, I don't care if you fail. I could care less if you fail. Your mom and dad care if you fail. I don't care. I said, I'm going to get the same paycheck no matter what happens. I said, there are 116 teachers in this building, and a good bit of them are far worse than me, and they've been here for 30 years. They ain't firing me. I don't care what you do.
I got tenure,
that's
baby.
Most of the teachers' outlook, though. If I recall correctly, when I was growing up, none of them care if I failed or not either.
Yep. And it's a totally different tack when you're working with ball players who you get to cut them, right? You don't get to cut the kid out of your class. And so you got to understand the dynamic and the context of who you're talking to. And that was part of the whole thing. That's why I like the Reseller Information Network guys and the people that say, hey, and this narrative did not used to be like it is now. I want to say, at least I'll take some credit for it. There are 750 different ways to resell, and they're all not perfect. But if they work for that person, God bless you. Go for it. It's also what got me into the idea of not hating Harry Tornado like everybody wanted to do. Like, he's reselling a totally different way. Let him do it, for goodness sake.
I have never.
Does he even sell on eBay anymore? I mean, because every time I see him, he's on Whatnot.
He does.
I think he has some things listed, but predominantly he doesn't. So what?
I don't get it, man. Like, I look at, like, even in yours, I don't comment a whole lot, but I've been watching you since your first video, honestly.
Oof, that was a bad one, y'all. Go check it out. Carrie reminds me every day.
Yeah. I've packed alongside you every single morning. Hey, thank you for being consistent too. Because you're consistent, I get to do that.
Did you know that my first is Talk About Me Day here? I don't get to do this on the podcast. They rip on me, so I'll just brag today. I posted a video. Matter of fact, it's 5 years ago, almost exactly, because I remember we're getting ready to go to the beach, and I remember I had done videos for a few weeks, couple of weeks, every single day. My wife's looking at me like, what is this idiot doing? Because there ain't nobody watching it. There ain't nobody watching it. I mean, 15 views or something after a week or something. Like, this is stupid. And I'm like, listen, I'm going to do this for a year. And she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, we're going on vacation. I'm like, I know. I'm going to film 14 videos this week because I got to put out 7 next week. That's exactly what I did. I filmed 14 videos in 7 days, put out videos. Actually, I filmed 13. One of the videos I had to go to the Goodwill in Myrtle Beach with my kid to get an extra video in. And I put those things out. I put videos out for a year and a half, 7 days a week. Every single day a video came out. It's not overnight stuff. I wish it was, but I wish it was for me. I mean, we had success fairly early, but it takes discipline
I just finished watching one of your Trash Cash podcasts where Dave is trying to, for the month of July, to not be able to do anything. He's trying to get videos and stuff stocked up to be able just to release and do all that. So he can go on vacation, go camping. He likes camping.
Yeah, and I think everybody goes through this, especially if you're a content creator and reseller, and even if you're just a reseller for that matter. But I actually said something. Dave gave me credit for that idea because I told him or he watched a video or something. It's pretty much what I do from Thanksgiving till about the end of January. I source almost nothing. And this is before I had somebody to help me with help me with the live stuff and get and sort and whatever. I think this year I'll probably stop sourcing for 1 month, just 1 month. And traditionally it's been a month and a half to 2 months of no sourcing, maybe a little bit longer sometimes, because there's 2 reasons for it. One is you get to get through your death pile, obviously, but you get to recoup money. So Christmas time is a time where people don't have a lot of cash because they're spending it on gifts. So back then when I needed every dime to get through Christmas, I would, and I had time off at Christmas, I wouldn't source at all, but I'd sell like crazy. And so all that money that was captured in those buys over the course of a year, you stopped outlaying money and only money was coming in. And then you had enough to get through Christmas. So for Dave, that's not a good idea in Florida. It's probably a better idea in the summer because of the heat. And I think I think he'll come back stronger than ever doing that and giving himself that mental break because it is tedious. Like I said, if I'm putting in an hour, I'm putting in 65 hours a week. Mm-hmm. Doesn't seem like it, because I can stop at any moment, go play catch with my kid or go watch his practice or whatever. But if I wasn't on this with you guys right now, I'd be listing the drafts that are in my bank. So
yeah. Well, Buck told me he took a nap.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that?
I said, Chris told me he took a nap today. Get on him, Kevin.
We probably took a nap during that last speech I just gave. I tend to talk a little bit. That's what's fun. Think about this for a second, gentlemen. I'm a talker. I can't get a word in with Carrie and Dave. Think about that for a second.
You can't.
Hey, so we're gonna start a philosophical podcast called Kevin Gets to Talk. Yeah, honestly, I love to talk about the philosophical side of life and reselling more than I do actually talk about the actual reselling. But that's
what it is. I mean, in the end, that's what we're all doing it for. We're all doing this for some ulterior. It's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. We all love reselling and whatever. If there wasn't money in it, we wouldn't be doing it. And the money is fulfilling something that is a kind of an existential desire for you. That is, for me, it's control, right? I know it sounds bad, but it isn't bad. To be able to control your own life without being at the whim of an employer. I mean, let me tell you, I could make, if I would never go back unless I had to take care of my kids or something. I would never go back to working for somebody else. I would live off of $30,000 a year selling Tupperware ashtrays. I do not care. My wife wouldn't be happy, but I'd be happy. I do not care. I live in a shed and have a tree. That's plenty for me.
No, but honestly, I'm sure for you can testify to this.
As long as I had my Zen. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Gotta have that. Okay. Zone. Anyway.
Go for it. And I'm sure you can testify to this, that so much of just the reselling thing, people want to find the right strategy and all these things, but momentum is such a huge deal too. Just getting started. It's like it creates its own kind of momentum as you roll along and you figure out the stuff. Just watching you, just like with the YouTube videos, I remember those days. I'll share this, and my wife, she's probably watching somewhere, and she's gonna like freak out that I'm telling you this. But I remember the first few times I watched your videos, she said, "I don't know if that guy's gonna make it or not."
Well, I kind of grow on people, like a fungus.
Yeah, I told her, I was like, no, I think he's got something. He's authentic, and seems like he's going to keep doing it. So
I think between the two channels Kevin's got, he's got out of all the resellers I watch, I could be wrong. The two channels that I know you got, which is Commonwealth Flipper and Commonwealth Picker, those two, all the subscribers together, I believe that's more than any other reseller has.
No, I don't.
So that ought to tell you something.
Depends on how you define reseller, but no, that's not the case. No. I mean, listen, here's the truth. Carrie got more followers than any reseller. Well, Thrifter Sifter, I think, does, but Carrie on TikTok, right, is a different audience. But I don't know. There's different ways to grow, large to get to a bigger size, but I don't know, to do long form the way I do. I would Flipper channel, maybe that's the case, but Josh Eric Turner, he's got to have more than me combined. It's by a good bit, I would think. And that's the other part of this world that just drives. I'm competitive as all get out. Don't get me wrong, but there is no way I am going to sacrifice my happiness for somebody else who's going to pass me. Zero chance. No, that's not the case. Now, there might be people that it might irk me because I don't like that person in particular, like Grams. If they ever get bigger than me, then I'll be like, that woman stole Tupperware right out. I'm kidding. Kind of. A little bit. If it was anything but Tupperware. Well, I don't think,
what was funny?
Watching. I think it's just cool.
What was funny was I was watching the video that they did about that. When I saw it dawn on her, the hypocrisy she was speaking.
Graham's a hardcore. She's a great picker, by the way. Just to give them credit, those people they haven't been doing. I've been doing this 20-some years, right? And I'm not I don't dig into numbers, and I just kind of trust my gut, and over time have anecdotal evidence for stuff, and I just go with it because. If I got to start digging into the algorithm and digging into the number, I mean, I do to some degree, more than Dave and Carrie, maybe. But there you go, brother. I just don't care. It's like I'd rather go. Like I could have gone to school more and got a master's degree and got a raise in school. And I'm like, there is no way. I'm not going to torture myself to do something I hated. I hated school. I think that's part of what made me a decent teacher. I hated it. So I tried to do basically anything that the school system told me to do. I did exactly the opposite. And it worked because I hated everything about school growing up. And I have no idea what point I'm trying to make. Oh, I know what it is. So I could have gone back and got a master's, but I had to gone to school. There's a tractor or something going by, y'all. Sorry. And I'm like, I'm going to make how much more if I get a master's? $2,000 a year, and it's going to cost me how much to get a master's? I'm like, forget it. I'll go to 20 more garage sales. I'll make $2,000 like that doing something I want to do. I ain't getting a dumb master's. Right. Look at Kerry. What did I get him?
Yeah, he still can't do math. You know, people make life and reselling way too hard. Just keep showing up. If you keep showing up, you'll win eventually.
Yeah, look at Dave. He just keeps buying, and let me tell you, I've seen him pick, y'all. He's a good picker. I don't care. He might pick some stuff that you make you wonder, like, what the heck? But in between all that, you got to pay attention because he knows well, a lot of things took him a little while to learn. The golf club, I'm like, how are you not selling golf clubs in North Carolina? Like, this is craziness. You're buying plush, and there's $300 set of golf clubs sitting there. But now down there, I mean, he is, and I think he's focused a little bit more on eBay. He's going to pass me. He's not on YouTube, thank goodness, but he's going to pass me on reselling because the sourcing down there plus his experience and his work ethic is incredible. I talk about working 60, 65 hours a week. I guarantee you, once you subtract all the TikTok scrolling and all the nonsense and stuff he watches, I guarantee you he works as hard or harder than anybody in this business. Kerry, on the other hand, during his waking hours, he works really, really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he quit his job, when Dave quit his job, I was shocked. I says he's got a hold of something to be able to quit his job and do.
Listen, I was telling Dave to quit that job for a year and a half before he quit. A year before he quit. I remember one conversation. I hope you don't watch this, Dave. One conversation. I was practically begging him to quit his job. I'm like, dude, it's the greatest thing in the world. I'm telling you, it is just amazing. And I know Dave pretty well, and he is an unbelievably talented and innovative person. I'm like, it is going to work. And you know what? Even if it doesn't work exactly like you think it's going to work, you're going to find a different way to make it work. And you've seen that. You've already seen him, like, I tried this and it didn't work. And I tried this and it does work. And I tried this, it does. And he don't care. I'm a little bit more wedded to my ideas. Like, I'm going to see this thing through because failure to me is like not an option, but it's something that you can't be stupid about. You can't keep going back. Like I tell people sometimes with YouTube, like, I've been putting out videos for, whatever. I put out this many videos a week for 2 years and I can't grow and whatever. And, sometimes you've got to step back and say, this isn't for me. And that's why I made that, hey, I'm doing this for 1 year. And this is why I'm going to learn. I'm going to figure this out. I'm doing it for 1 year. And at 1 year, I'm going to sit there and reevaluate. And if it would not have been worth my time and effort, I would have quit. Or I would have done it in a way that was completely and I've seen a transition in some folks. Matter of fact, there's one gentleman in here been putting out YouTube videos long before me. He gave me a shout out. And he's had some success and some failure, and he's trying it again in different ways. And to me, it's much more authentic. It's not forced. It's much more natural, and it's fun, regardless if it succeeds or not. And I think that's where a lot of people need to treat this thing, and using it to advance his other goals as well. And so that's a big thing, selling goals, for instance. I mean, social media and selling, they work together. They work together for sure.
I don't know what I've done with my channel, but I'm a small channel. I don't have a little over 600 subscribers. But
y'all, if you're listening to this, go subscribe. We gotta get this man to 1,000 here.
But that's what I was saying. The last 5 videos. Oh yeah, go ahead, Brad, real quick. Go ahead and tell them.
And go subscribe to my channel, because my goal is to become the first YouTuber with 1,000 subscribers and no videos.
There's been a few back in the old chats. I know. Let's see. I'm sure some of these folks in here, Silver Hair Stacker's back in those old chats for sure. Mr. Sadie's been in them forever. Rad Relics with 3 different incarnations has been in them. There's a few people, mods back in the day, that got to 1,000 subs and never put out a video.
Wow.
There's a bunch.
Yeah, so my last 5 videos I've done. I normally get, I think my highest video has 4,000 views, and then I normally get right around, within a week, I get a little over 100, sometimes 200, but then they rise after that week. For some reason, the last 5 videos I put out, all 5 of them together probably got 100 views, and I don't know what's wrong with them. I don't know what happened. It's something.
Listen,
I've done something wrong.
There's so much outside of your control. Sometimes you just got to throw everything at the wall and some things stick. And I was fortunate to have a couple. You know what's funny? This is getting into YouTube again, but I did a video when I decided I was gonna jump ship. Well, I wouldn't jump and ship, but I was gonna make a second channel. Lonnie at what was Garage Flips back then, he did a lot of things that a lot of folks had never done before. And of course I watched him for years. And one of the things he did was start that second channel. And I was like, it's like, is this something I want to do? I was still building my first channel, my picker channel. And I decided I wanted to do it, but I wasn't going to do it in the traditional way. I was going to build it a little bit different. Do you pay someone to? LOL, I kid. No, I don't actually. I do all of that. Nobody controls my social media at all. So, well, with some exception, but I'll get back to that in a second. And so he started a second channel, and I decided to do it a little bit later, of course. And so I was going to do extra videos. I wasn't going to sacrifice. I wasn't going to move anything off of my picker channel. I was doing 2 or 3 picker videos a week and 4 flipper videos a week, 7 days a week. And I wasn't going to move any of that. I was going to add on top of it. My wife's like, oh, good night, almighty, please. And so I started putting out shipping videos, which ironically, I think Lonnie started to do on his original channel that he broke off from lately. But I started putting out shipping videos on that channel. But the very first video I put out wasn't what I call an evergreen video. It was, I had a buddy of mine say, hey, everybody passes on this silver plate all the time at yard sales. It's always there at the end of the day. I'm like, and? I was like, of course, I'd pass on it too. What are you thinking? He's like, so I just go around once it's past 11:30, 12 o'clock. And if somebody's got silver plate there, I'll ask him, like, hey, if nobody buys that, will you give me a call? Can I have it? Because he's like, that stuff just goes to Goodwill. People don't want to put that crap back in their house. I was like, okay. And he's like, so he started piling up silver plate for free or dirt cheap. And he took it to the recycle place. And so he's like, come on with me. So I filmed this whole thing, and he was taking this silver plate to the recycle place and it wasn't much money. I'm like, is scrapping silver plate worth it, or something like that? And that video to this day is in my top 20. They show you your top 30 videos for the last 48 hours. It's in there every single day. So if there's some specialty you have and you're starting out a channel and you're trying to come up with content, find something. And I didn't know anything about it, so I would seek out people. Another video was about jewelry, how to spot sterling and stuff like that. And I went and found a guy, and I did a video. I didn't find him, I knew him, but I found him, and he taught me about that, and I put it on film. And that turned out to be a fairly decent evergreen video, and I learned from it. So find people who are experts in stuff, make that video. And a lot of times you get subs from those videos over time. And that video, that scrapping video makes me like $0.25 a day. Every day. For 5 years. It doesn't seem like much.
That's an item at a Virginia yard sale, right?
There you go. So, it's that kind of stuff. And that's part of that's what I think of when I do my channel. I don't want my picking videos to be, I want somebody to be able to watch one of my picking videos 2 years later and not know it's 2 years later. Yeah. Except for maybe if people got masks on or something, then they know.
Yeah. Speaking of masks, before we go, I'm sure you don't remember. You've met 1,000 people or more. But
I've taught 1,000 people.
Yeah.
More than that.
In 2020, we drove up to Crossville as a COVID year, drove up to Crossville for the 127. And the very first yard sale we stopped at, you were there with the old school
really?
picker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
with old school, probably OBX maybe too.
OBX wasn't there. Old school.
Oh, he wasn't there yet. Okay, it's the first day.
And his older son, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
It was the very first yard sale we went to, and my wife or my son came back to the car and he said, "I think Kevin's up there." And but anyway, you were super chill. You actually bought something my son had picked up and was looking at, and I told you then, enjoy the videos. And
I bought it. Did I give it to him, or you mean I bought it for myself? That makes me feel
you
bad.
bought it. He had it in his hand, and you paid for it for him.
Oh, so, well, there you go. Well, and look, see, I'm not totally mean.
Yeah, I know, right? And but yeah. No, I appreciate all the time you put in, and you seem like a genuine dude. And regardless of what my wife says about you, I think you've done all right.
Was she not there? Oh, I see.
She was with us. She was with us, and by the way, she loves you too.
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate that. So
yeah, Kevin,
is this an hour show?
Oh, yeah, I mean, normally we can continue on because my chat is blowing up, loving your talk, loving.
All right, you let us know when you're ready to go. Then
as soon as they break huddle, I'll tell you.
All right, cool.
Tell you. I just like being somewhere where I can talk instead of that stupid podcast.
Right. Well, the chat's loving your talk, being for you to be able to talk. I'm reading.
Hey, you got 17 people in here. Who are these people in here? Let's see if I can find some names I recognize here.
Well, 540 just joined us.
Oh, well, hey, I mentioned you earlier in the deal there. Pac-Man, I don't know that one. Who's Pac-Man? Lisa, I remember that name a little bit.
He's a friend of mine. He's another reseller.
Midnight the Cat. I feel like I saw that the other day somewhere, maybe in my whatnot or something. I can't remember. Saw somebody. Dibd, y'all go over there and sub to me on District so I can pass Carrie or Dave up. Nobody needs to pass Carrie. He's like nowhere near.
Yeah, speaking of District, how are you enjoying the Dibd experience? By the way, I've got a District that I just started and just started inviting people to. So
yeah, I'm not going to break a little secret here, but I got another one coming. But I love it. I love it simply. I don't know. I'll save this stuff on here. I guess somebody can spam it across the internet if they want. But when you get in a position where you have an audience. I hope I'd never take the audience for granted, but when you get an audience, people want at your audience. And I don't ever say this stuff. I literally get dozens of offers a day to do stuff. And most of it is just like easy. Like I'm not doing stupid team. I'm not doing some of this dumb stuff. I'm just not alienating my audience, but every once in a while I'll do stuff and then you take heat for that. But I mean, I reject all of that stuff. But if you think about District, it's a totally different thing. And it goes back to why I really wanted to get out of working for somebody else. Because when you work for, the borrower servant to the lender, right? If somebody's paying you to do something, you got to do it their way or you stop getting a paycheck, right? And so without getting into the details, I love the idea, even though it is far less lucrative, because I'll still get criticism. Oh, you get a tiny bit of every sale or whatever. Yeah, I do a tiny bit. Trust me, I could do an ad for some stupid company doing something else and get far more money. But I choose not to because I love the idea of trying to build something in partnership with somebody else. And that's why I do the podcast, to be honest with you. I mean, I watch Dave and Carrie on there and I hope they're definitely not listening this late in the show, but those two guys, we tease each other, but I recognize I hesitate to say brilliance, but in some ways it's exactly what it is. It's not easy to do you guys are doing a podcast. It is not easy to come up with three people. And this goes, I bring them up because they're my partners over on Dibd, but and District is a partner as well. But let me tell you, when Dave says something, that I don't think of, he says something to those folks over there, like, you got to do this, you got to do this. And we're not connected to it in any way financially that's any significant way. So it's like, you need to help us do this, or we don't have to do it, right? It is a true partnership. And I like that about it. And we can fashion it and make it something. We knew from the get-go it'd be a long run. We're, I think, the number 5 marketplace over there, and it's growing more now than it ever has. But it's tough. It's not an easy lift. It's a slow slog, and I'm excited about it, and especially the live side of it. I made 3 static sales in the last 2 days over there, so that was kind of cool. And I hardly list much over there. Yeah. And it just gives much more control. And I complain all the time about, eBay fees going up or whatever. Well, we've got some control over that, which is really cool. And we can adjust things and do things over time. Obviously, when you market yourself to resellers, like most reselling YouTube channels do, it's hard to bring the buyers. But I think people would be amazed at, out of my audience, we've got 450,000 subscribers on Facebook. That's how big the Facebook page is.
Holy cow.
The vast majority. I mean, people know me from YouTube and whatever. And by far the biggest audience is Facebook. It isn't even close. And it's reaching out to every corner, not just resellers. And that's where most of the new buyers are coming from. Mm-hmm. And so to market yourself, and that's why I'm on TikTok, and I hate TikTok, but I'm on it because I want to reach non-resellers who are collectors, who are just people who can't get out of the house, for goodness sake, that just like to watch entertaining stuff. And so I don't just speak to resellers, especially my content on those places, because that can bring more buyers, and they bring more buyers to eBay, bring more buyers to Whatnot, to Divdit, to whatever. That's why Whatnot wants all these creators. They especially want the creators that don't appeal to resellers.
Mm-hmm. Are all your videos on TikTok, are they like shorts? I don't have TikTok, so that's why I asked.
Well, I put out terrible shorts. I've always made terrible shorts. I know how to make good shorts. I just don't want. It's just too much time for me. It's not my forte. So I have put out some, and I occasionally do put out some. But my videos over there are basically, they're taking my long form, changing the orientation on it, and cutting it down. Instead of having a long form video where you go to 6 different yard sales, it might just be 1 yard sale, and show that process and pick a good one out. And I don't make a lot of money over there, but I want to grow the audience on all those platforms in order to bring more buyers to whatever platform there is, or sometimes they'll translate over to a YouTube channel or Facebook or wherever. So it's just the overall strategy of the game. And you want to appeal, if you're trying to do a show, you want to appeal to the masses. I think that's what kind of works with the Trash Cash podcast, to be honest with you, because most of the people who listen to the Trash Cash podcast are resellers, for one, and they've been doing this for 40 years. They don't need Dave and Carrie and me to tell them what to do, for goodness sake. They just want to hang out with somebody while they do what they already know how to do.
And laugh.
Yeah. But it is educational. You learn so many things over there. Like, I found out what keystring is.
I was going to just say, I know where this is going.
I drove up to a house and just in the last little bit that had a pineapple on the mailbox, and I didn't know what that meant before. I know what that means now.
When are the YouTube courses
I don't know what
coming?
that means.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that video.
I think I would do a course on YouTubing long before I would do one on reselling. I promise you that. But I don't even know what, I don't have the answer what works for YouTube, but I can tell you what,
Come on, brother.
When I see it, I know it. I mean, it's the truth. I watched Dave and Carrie together. Remember this now. I'm the one who met Carrie. I called up Carrie. We were buds. He straight up left me at the altar for Dave. Straight up left me at the altar. Just like straight. I'm like, what in the world? Within like a week. Like, jeez.
But them two, look, when you watch them two together, man, it's like they're reading each other's minds when they're talking. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Ain't no doubt about it.
Somebody's got to be the straight man there. So,
well, I'll tell you, that's exactly what it was. I looked at them like, these two are geniuses, but they have got to have some foil. They gotta be a foil.
Yeah.
I'm like, am I gonna be the foil? I'm like, I'm used to being the foil for my wife. I might as well just do it for these two guys.
Leaving those two alone would be like giving a chimp a machine gun. You can't do that.
That's one thing that's just pure enjoyment to be able to do that. I enjoy everything that I do with the social media, except for making shorts. But
I 100% can adopt the mind of a 7th grader at any given time and have fun and go to that level. So I love it. It's right down my alley, man.
And it was a perfect scenario. I got to say, Dave, I knew was going to do all the work. Carrie's just Carrie, reactive. He doesn't ever bring an agenda, anything. You got to find a Carrie that does not have an agenda, that does not have any topic that he wants to talk about, that purely can react to you two. And Death Pile would be good. He's good. I don't know why people don't get Mike. This is late in this podcast.
Dude, he's
Mike
awesome,
is
man.
funny. I listened to him on whose podcast was he on? The one that had the ridiculous name, the Leonard Skinner name. That thing, and I just laughed the whole time.
Dude, he popped in on Reseller Information Network a few weeks ago, and dude, he was dropping gold. It was awesome.
Yeah. No doubt. I think the problem is, though, everybody's just scared. They're a little scared of what he's going to do and say, which I have a little experience with. Just saying. He gets a little off, but he's a little bit better over time. And everybody sees that we won't put him on Trash Cash Podcast for longer than 12 seconds. See? But, hey, I'm telling you, it's a good guy.
He said the Instagram post he made this morning about coming on the show today. I don't know if you've seen it, Kevin, but it was absolutely great. Check it out. The title and then the music with it just hit it right.
Well, you know why he does that, don't you? Because he doesn't want to list. He don't want to list. It's like, I've got to do something productive here. Let me do this instead of digging this stupid death pile and sell something.
Yeah. Hey, let me tell you what he said when I messaged him. I messaged him and told him about Chris's show and maybe if he want to come on at some point. And he said, yeah. And then we set a date up and everything. Then he messaged me back shortly after that. And he's like, I just realized you two guys do a live. That's a bold move, Cotton.
That's the truth. There's no scenario where I would go live with Mike. I don't think. I shouldn't say it. I do lives. I make it when we go on the road and get the trailer out and stuff, and we'll sell stuff. He's always got to be in the back. He might get to make one appearance.
Yeah,
he's getting better, man. There's good stuff.
Oh yeah.
I got a question. I haven't asked any questions so far, but I got a question for you. It actually stems from something I heard you say just a little bit ago. You said the borrower was slave to the lender. I'm curious. Is that from the Dave Ramsey stuff coming in on you, or from somewhere else?
It's book Proverbs, preacher man.
I was going to ask you if that's like from the Bible.
When I was a kid, I was a weird kid. Which, if you listen to David Carey, they realize this, right? I was, they tease me about being old. I ain't that old. I'm 47. I look 10 years younger than both of them. But I had a young soul. I had an old soul from the get-go. I don't know what it was, but I would listen. I was born in '77. I'd listen to '70s music. I loved it. I don't know why, but I loved it. And I'd watch Perry Mason in black and white when I was a kid. I don't know why. I loved it. I watch a black and white TV and listen to old timey radio and talk shows, and that's where if you know who Paul Harvey is.
Oh yeah.
I would say at the end of my, I can't wait to see you next.
The rest of the story.
Right? And that was Paul Harvey.
Yes.
Paul Harvey. Good day.
I can't believe
pause at the end of it.
I want to take your time out real quick, Kevin. I cannot believe that you're younger than me. Because you just told your age and didn't realize.
Good Lord Almighty. Come on.
I thought me and you was about the same.
Brother.
What?
Kevin's like, looks like a 12-year-old. For the love of God, look at the man.
But that's funny. My point was that somebody would say something and I'd be like, I'm going to do it. So one of them was like, hey, I read a proverb a day. There's 31 proverbs, right? And I did that for like 8 years.
Really?
I just did it every day. It's just, I'm a very habitual person. Very habitual.
That was actually part of my ritual for years. Is like read a proverb a day, 31 days, 31 chapters. Yep.
Yeah. and just stuff like that. And I've always loved that, and teaching history. And I do that and give that to my kids. We do all kinds of different stuff from all different kinds of cultures, and there's always I'd love the Mongol proverbs with my baseball team because they were a little bit more testosterone driven, let's say. And I just always loved quotes and stuff like that, and I've been able to use a little bit of that in my. Of course, people get ticked off at everything, so it's like, oh well, that's like whatever. But I don't know. You got to employ every trick in the book sometimes to keep people's attention. So that's just what we do.
So the reason I'd ask is because I also know that the reason I asked about Dave Ramsey is because the I know the debt free thing and all those things is important to you, which I think if anybody's going to go into full-time reselling, I think getting a handle on that part is huge, a huge step towards the freedom.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, look, it's not as lucrative as people. If you're reselling the way that you do and I do, it's not like I'm thinking this year, I'll make more reselling this year than I ever have. And it will be enough to live on, right? Without any social media. Part of that's driven by social media, don't get me wrong. But even without it, I would double my old teaching salary. And I'd obviously have to use more time to do it, but it's not like somebody's going to go to yard sales and make 250 net profit a year. It just ain't going to happen. It just no way, unless you're working like 24/7 and you live in the greatest garage sale area in the history of the world. It just ain't going to happen. People are choosing this to supplement incomes. That's why that's part of the reason I don't want to be labeled a full-time reseller. I spend 15, 20 hours a week reselling.
Yeah.
And that's more relatable to most folks. Now, people who I don't know what your situations are, but there's a lot of retirees. They have other income coming in from other places, but you're exactly right. The fact that you are in debt to somebody, the borrower is servant to the lender, you literally are. It's just not a proverb. I'm in debt to the mortgage. I owe a debt on my home still, not as much as I used to, but I haven't had debt outside my home in shoot. You could give me the best interest rate in the world and I wouldn't use it on a car. On a car? Forget it. I don't care. I'll drive around. I would get ripped when I was successful on YouTube. People would rip you driving around that old pickup truck. Like, yeah, I'll drive it around forever. My wife's finally like, "No, you gotta get something. You got a little bit of money. You gotta get something that looks good." She's embarrassed of me. I'm like, I don't care.
Tell her, baby, I'm the thing that makes this truck look good, and that's all.
Well, she don't believe that. She don't believe that for sure.
Yes, one flipper said paying off their house changed their life, and I can see that. Yeah,
in more ways than financial, really, because it's a psychological thing. Because usually when people go hardcore at their debt and they get rid of it, they're very unlikely to get back in it because the feeling they get from it is so much different. And I would really, really suggest people do that, man. We did 135 total last year in sales. I lived where Dave was. Dave is, I'm sure I do. Okay, that in total last year. So is that net profit is the question. Is that net profit? And that's both of you doing it too, right?
Yes. Honestly, that was kind of the heart behind the question when I threw it at Chris this afternoon. I came up with an idea like a couple minutes and threw it out there. That's about the extent of it. But about being a reseller or a treasure hunter, because, depending on what you're going to do with your business, you're going to have to think differently. Going out and picking one-offs and stuff is, unless you're picking really good treasures, it's going to be hard to do like a huge number on eBay. But if you're going to do it, if you're going to try to be big time, and I'm thinking like a guy like Pickin Sports now, then you're going to have to go that route. And one's not better than the other. It's just a matter of what you're trying to accomplish with it. I don't want to do that to save my life, but
Yeah. Well, and what Tech does is different too, yo. I mean, it's not like he shows the flea markets and stuff. He got way more sources than the flea market.
Yeah.
And that's the right tech to take and to make those connections. And to make those, and I've started to do that myself to a little bit of a degree because I see, because you can only do so much, right? But now that I've got Jess coming in for, like I said, anywhere between 15, sometimes she's there 25 hours a week, but 15, 20 hours a week. It's like, okay. And I'm looking at the numbers thinking, okay, I'm netting far less, but it's something I can't. What is this? Y'all looking at? We're making the name brand grocery kind of money this year. What are y'all laughing at? It's like Dave and Carrie.
No, it's just
no more
a story.
Yeah, no more tasty. No more like Fruity Stones.
There you go.
He's getting Fruity Pebbles this year.
Yeah, I hear you. But my point is, there's, if I say this all the time on my show, if I were trying to make this a full-time living and I quit my job, I would take literally 30-40% of my effort every day at the beginning into finding consistent contacts. So John Radrelic's down here. He's got people bringing stuff to him as well, right? And so he's fostered those because he lives in an area where it's not as great to pick. And so you got to do those extra things depending on what area you're in. Really not even depending on what area you're in. If you want to make it a full-time job, get online and source. Get online and make connections. That's part of one of the things I've got coming up for people that's not necessarily for me, but it is for a lot of people, especially in the wintertime. I'm talking about that later. But you got to do things full-time. I don't want a job. I don't want a job. And, me processing pallets or wholesale or whatever, it's kind of a job unless it's directed wholesale at the kind of stuff I like to sell. So like I said, there's 8 million ways to do this, and you got to find what works for you.
Yeah.
I would love to get into storage units, but my issue is I have no space right now. So I'm kind of limited on my space. So, I mean, that really sucks. But, you're talking about working for somebody else. The last time I worked for somebody else, I figured out, because I went through a time a couple of years ago. I was just, it was after. So everybody knows during the pandemic era, you could pretty much sell anything you wanted to sell. And then all the sales dropped off after the pandemic era. Sales slowed down. I'm not going to say dropped off completely. They slowed down for a lot of folks. And I went through a period of time there that I was like, man, is this still worth it for me? Because I was in a different situation than I was when I started. And so I went back and I looked, I says, okay, this is what I was doing when I was working for somebody else. And I took that figure and compared it with what I was doing on eBay. And I'm still, at that time, I'm still, and I still am. At that time, I was still making double of what I was making working for somebody else. So it's a no-brainer. I mean, I can't, working for somebody else is not going to support me or my family or anybody anymore.
So I'll say this because I saw John's comment, but I wanted to answer somebody else's from like an hour ago that I remembered somebody about paying somebody to heart something. So I have a feeling where that comment came from. But John says he's got a blinking light in his window there that says I buy stuff. I really think
I buy shit.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, we got the lore going on here. That's pretty good. I could think of some of that. Reminds me of one of my favorite moments was when Harry Tornado came on that podcast and said, he's like, how old is Kevin? You guys got me really believing that he's like, how old is he? I don't get it. Anyway, but I've got I don't know if I want to let this out. I guess I will. There are a lot more resellers who have started off the way that I resell and I want to resell. And, my goal, a lot of people resell because they want to meet some goal. My goal is to resell, meaning this is it. This is where I want to be, right? And so I'll do anything to foster me being able to keep doing reselling. I'm not reselling in order to retire at 52 or whatever. My goal is to make reselling work because I love it so much. But that's a great little tip down there. And obviously he's got a building, right? I buy stuff. But there are so many other ways to do it. I know a guy down here that does house cleanouts, and he advertises himself as house cleanouts and, super cheap and whatever, and he sells all the crap off. I've seen people with signs on their car, I buy stuff. Dude, there's 6 million, there's 6 million different ways to source. And so all the people who are stuck in, I've got to go to this Goodwill to source, man, you're getting pinched tight with all the other stuff going on, those raising prices and shipping costs and all the stuff that goes into it. You're getting pinched and pinched and pinched. It might be time for them to quit unless they adjust a little bit and do some different things.
Yeah. We got a hybrid approach that we've kind of adopted over the last year or so that's worked really well. So we do the yard sales. We do hit the thrift store circuit around here, but Pickin's not real great where we're at. It's probably very similar to where you are, very rural. But the one thing that we have done is we were on the 127 and we picked up a huge lot of Playmobil.
Mm-hmm.
And did really well with it. And we kind of figured out how to sell that stuff out of that.
That's your district, right?
Well, actually on eBay. And that's what we do.
But isn't that what your district is?
Yes, we started that. But the thing that happened out of that is like, okay, so this is something that we know we can sell really well. We figured out, off of the buys that we've done, how we can sell it. So now we actually look and find people who are selling out of their collections. Like we drove up to West Virginia, earlier this year and bought 14 totes of Playmobil, and then we bought 10 totes at another place. And so what we've done is we've kind of niched down and found a thing that we sell consistently. It sells consistently. We can sell to the same people over and over and over. People who are into that stuff come back to us over and over and
Absolutely.
over. We've had multi item sales even today, and it's kind of like a hybrid. We got the reseller thing kind of going on with that, but we also still get to enjoy the treasure hunter part of it.
Do you remember the debate a few years back about niching down or not niching down? Do you remember that debate was going around YouTube and everybody's throwing, stuff at each other and whatever? I'm just look, neither one is wrong. Neither one is wrong. And it totally depends on your situation. Of course, I'm not niching down, but there's multiple reasons why I'm not niching down. One of them is YouTube. Can you imagine a Playmobil YouTube channel? What's the reach on that, right? And so has increased. That has but it's what I'm saying is it's a bad reach. It's a very limited audience,
right?
And so to have a channel that encompasses all kinds of different ways of reselling and appealing to different people. I got people that sell nothing but shoes watching my channel. I'm like, and I rip on shoes every day. But this also has something to do with what I hopefully will announce soon, because there's a whole lot. And Mike's probably still listening here, so everybody knows this if they watch my channel. Mike is, he's a death pile picker for a reason, right? So hanging out with Mike has some fringe benefits. Like it used to be, he's gotten too sick of me selling his stuff for big money. It used to be, it's like, oh, I hate clothes. Here, I paid this for this. Give me this for this, and you can have it. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you're kidding me? You're going to give me this much stuff for double what you paid, or 10% more of what you paid, or whatever, because you don't want to deal with it? I'm like, you better believe it, brother. I'm taking it, because he hated to do that. And then I sell it, and he's like, I'm not giving you that anymore. I'm like, well, then sell it, you big dummy. But listen, I know people who sell specific things, just 3 or 4 categories, and even those categories, they niche them down a little bit, and they kill it. They kill all of our 90-day totals, and they're niche down sellers, but they source from anywhere at any time, and they're constantly putting in that work on their computer to find that out. I hate being in my house. I don't hate being in my house, but if I'm going to be, you know what I mean. I'd rather be outside. I'd rather be talking to people. I don't want to sit down for 2 hours and buy online auctions and hunt down leads on I hate it. I don't want to do it. So that's a job to me. But there are people who do it and make a ton of money. So hey, more power to them, man. And she does it different too, because she's an anything seller, but she does, specific things she does really, really well at, and she sources online, and it is in for me. I don't like, and then compound it by saying I also make money picking. That's what surprised me so much. I'd watch these picking channels. I'm like, golly, these people find insane stuff.
I know,
like, this is crazy. I'm out here picking Tupperware, and people are watching me pick Tupperware. Like, this is nuts. And then I started to realize, you know what? They're not watching me to pick Tupperware. They're watching me because of the awesome people that I encounter out here. And I highlight, and I told this to Mike too, and because Mike's got the gift of gab, talk to people. I said, you could find half. If you watch one of my videos, depending. I mean, some of the videos I make thousands of dollars off, but there are some videos I might go to 8 yard sales and make $250, And it's a great video. The best video I ever did was with my wife, and it was the single worst profitable YouTube video I've ever put out as far as what I made on the stuff we picked. We probably made $190 profit because we were out. We didn't start yard sale until 11 o'clock that day because we had a meeting. And like, you want to hit some yard sales with me? She's like, sure. We found a few cool things worth some money. That's my #1 video. It was the interaction between me and my wife, and me and my wife and the people at the yard sales. And then I have videos where I had a video where I probably made $6,000 off a 1 yard sale. And ain't nobody watched it. Whatever. It don't matter to me.
That's funny.
But I'm trying to niche down, not on eBay, but like I have a marketplace on District also called Hatify, and I just made it niche down to where it's nothing but hats, and it's not just ball caps, it's women's hats and derby hats. I got somebody that's coming in that's going to start putting cowboy hats in there. So I want to try that niche too because I like doing hats. You know, I mean, yeah. But I wouldn't niche down in eBay because you can sell anything.
All right, so Paige left a comment in there. So Paige, I got a suggestion for you. Go out and find some beautiful, attractive woman out there and get her to wheel you around in a wheelchair, and just turn that camera around.
Yeah.
Right. Just turn that camera and then have her go pick the stuff, and you can just film it. Look, there's all kinds of. Dave might do it. Dave might wheel you around out there. I ain't doing it.
It's a strategy as old as time. Sex sells.
Hey, listen. In all seriousness, though, there are a lot of folks out there that struggle with mobility, and Paige is obviously one of them. Although he keeps working through it, right? And that appeals. It's like I got ripped so bad for selling board game pieces. And
why?
Well, just because it's not worth your time. If you can't sell it for $30 or whatever, you're wasting your time. I'm like, tell that to the 80-year-old grandma who watches this show, and all she can do is do stuff she can pick up with one. I mean, come on, dude, get out of here. So I purposely keep those things in, even though I bump my ASP up. Like my ASP is double what it was a year ago. And it's been far more profitable with the new system I've got. I mean, literally double. Yeah. And it's still way below other people's ASPs. But I still keep in the Tupperware, even as a pickle keeper for $12.95 plus shipping. I keep it in. I'll keep in the occasional ashtray. I'll keep in the board game pieces, some of them. Some of them aren't worth my time. But I'll keep in that stuff because it's got an appeal to all. I'm not just teaching that kid in the front of the room. I'm teaching the kid in the back of the room.
Yeah.
And that's the kid in the back of the room. I'm not getting rid of it. I'm not telling somebody they're stupid for doing that. You're stupid for saying it. Because you're not taking into account everybody in the reselling world. Right. And I think that's why I think my family appeals. And, you know, all right, I've talked so much. But I gotta answer that one question earlier. Do I pay somebody to heart my message? Dave does. That's my answer to the question. He pays his wife. But I don't. I do all my social media with a couple of exceptions. I have somebody who, Real Creative Studios, if anybody's ever out there in need, she takes my full length videos, and she turns them like year-old videos. She turns them into new videos in the format for Facebook, and I post those 8 of them. I post all kinds of stuff on Facebook, but she makes 8 of those 8 of those a month for me out of my old content. She just reorders it, puts in the little fancy stuff for Facebook specifically. And then I have an editor who raw edits my videos. I send him all my footage and he cuts them all down to basically what you see in my videos. I still comp the stuff for the most part, not all the time, still comp the stuff, and I send it to him and he reorders. Because sometimes, you know, a lot of the video, people don't get it. They're like, you can't make a living on this. You only made $600 in this video. And that's, you know, 52. If you did that every week, you'd only make $30,000. I'm like, dude, I went out yard selling and I made 5 videos out of that. So what you see in 5 videos could be 1 day of yard sales. Mm-hmm. And so people don't get that, but he takes those and sometimes I'll reorder them to tell a story. It's not just these 5 videos in a row. Sometimes I'll take something from the end of the day and I'll put it at the beginning, or I'll take something from 2 weeks later and throw it in there sometimes because it fits whatever narrative and the build up for a video. And so he raw edits them and reorders them. And so I pay him to do that for my picker videos. I edit every last bit of every flipper video that I've ever done. So there you go. There's your answer to that.
Sounds good.
Wow. Well,
Pop says
Brad,
talking to people yuck.
What was that, Kevin?
Yeah.
Pop said what?
Pop says talking to people yuck.
Yeah.
Well, he's owned businesses before, so the public, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you get crazy people out there, and sometimes I had a guy drive up to my house one day.
Yeah,
I got out of the car.
That's
I'm
not
like,
cool.
What
man.
in the world, dude? You don't do that stuff. My wife was freaking out. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I told him Death Pile Picker gave him my address. He's like, what? No, I was thinking I did.
Leave, get out of here, leave.
No, wow. I was very kind to the guy. Although I did deny him access to the shed. I'm like, no, dude, I can't do that. I'm like, you can't come back here.
That's yeah. You don't invite yourself to Kevin's cabin. He summoned you.
I've had a lot of folks over. Of folks over for sure. Dave doesn't like it though. He don't like my rules. I tell him, Dave, I can't take Dave. I can't take Dave all day. It's 6 o'clock. You can come over 6 till you go to bed because I know he goes to bed early. I'm like, dude, you got to go. So, all right, I see him breaking up over there. So I'm gonna have to get going real quick.
How close are you to Virginia Beach?
Not very.
Okay.
I am 3.5 hours from Virginia Beach. We're out in middle of nowhere, Virginia. So I don't know if you know where Roanoke and Lynchburg are, but we're right in between those two.
You got anything you want to tell everybody about what you got coming up or anything?
Yeah,
kind of
sure.
Event or anything?
Dibdit.com, DIBDIT.com. We're doing I'm hoping to go live from the 301 on Friday. I don't know if I can pull it off or not since I can't get Dave to go in there and sell stuff on Friday because there's going to be action figures and various sundry things. Mojo Dojo. Y'all, listen, I'll be honest with you. I've been sourcing from 2 of those sellers on Dibdit, and I have been making money. I've been making money on them. FleaCon, you can find stuff and make money. Not all the time, but sometimes. And Mojo Dojo, man. Mojo shows, there is always. I'm making money off of those things live. And it just blows my mind how people can find as much as these people do. But that'll be over there. And, find a district. I'll promo it a little bit. I'm in 4 at this point, and I might be in 5, and I've sold in 3. And I'm going to sell in more because, there's not tons of eyeballs over there. But if you're in the right marketplace, they're the right eyeballs. Right? And so you don't have – if you're in a marketplace like Jocelyn's is knickknacks and you dude, there's a lot of people over there. But all of them are interested in that kind of stuff. Right? And so you don't need to – it's like, well, eBay's a huge audience. Yeah, eBay's a much huger audience. No doubt about it. But if you're selling Playmobil – how many of those are looking for Playmobil? So it's a different ball game over there. Yep. And you can get to know people too quite a bit better. And I've got to know a lot of sellers over there. And it's also cool to be able to promote other sellers. Like Rad Relics is over there. He should come and sell over there instead of just buying from people. Hopefully you're making a little money off stuff I'm doing. And in the building process, there's a like I already committed to every dime I make over there this year, I'm putting right back into the business. And it's, it's a little cost to it, but when you believe in something, and we'll see, maybe it's not going to work out, but we're growing by like 30 people a day right now. At some point, it's going to be something that people want to be a part of. And I'd suggest people get over there and check it out, but it's not for everybody. And I wouldn't suggest going over there and listing 50 things because you're probably going to sell one of them in a month. Right. It's just, I'm not saying that you should do that, but go over there and learn it. Go list one thing. Meet the people, talk to the people, and you're going to start to see conversations like, hey, this is what I sell. I'm a Playmobil seller. And they get to learn you and they know you. And they're like, oh, man, I just got this giant tub of Playmobil and I'm Death Pile Picker and I don't want to list it. But you know what? I paid $10 for it. This guy will give me 50 and it's out my door. Yeah. That's the kind of thing that you don't see on any other place that district has the ability to do. And that conversation and that community over there. And it's not there yet, y'all. Don't get me wrong. But it is getting there more and more. I mean, you've already seen it. The model is out there. Look at what Jocelyn has done. They are selling 24/7 over there. It's insane. It can be done.
Yep.
And depends on the niche you're in and choosing a great one, of course.
Yep.
Kevin, after we get off, send me the links to Dibbit so I can put it in the description here. So
Sure.
I can add that to this.
Oh, you can just do dibbit.com and I'll send them there. Android coming soon.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for everybody
All
in the
right.
chat, too. You guys are awesome. It's nice to see some of you old folks out here that are older than me watching old Pat D's show and all those old dumb shows you used to be on. So, very cool.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Kevin.
Hey, we appreciate Kevin. We appreciate you coming on, man.
Hope all's doing well with you, Mike.
Bye.
All right.
Yeah.
See you, bud.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike, Death Pile Picker, for sending Kevin our way, and hope everything's going well in your situation. And Leroy?
Yes, Mike.
Love you too, brother.
Yeah. And Mike, whenever you get everything situated out, let me or Brad know, and we will definitely have you on too. So that's still not a done deal. We would love to have you. And yeah, we do appreciate Kevin. I mean, that shows a whole lot about them two stepping up and filling the spot that we would had normally advertised. So and that was a lot of good information, man. I mean, that was really, really good stuff. But Brad, you got anything?
No, man. Just everybody have a great week, and God bless.
Yeah. So everyone, please check the links below. I will have Kevin's links in there for his Dibbit, and Hatify's in there. If you're not part of Hatify, please come on over and join us over there. We sell nothing but hats. So that's just something new. And then, of course, if you're dealing with Playmobil, Brad's got Playmobil over there. So that's a tongue tire. But guys, we appreciate everyone that has come on here and been part of the chat. We appreciate all the visits and stuff. Also, guys, we do go live on Facebook. We're live on Facebook right now. And if no one's Kevin says subscribe, but I'm going to use the word follow. If no one's following me on Facebook, Buck Mountain Barn, please go over there. The link to that is below. Also, please go over there and follow me over there. Greatly appreciate you guys, and everyone have a great day.